أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال أما من ظلم فسوف نعذبه ثم يرد إلى ربه فيعذبه عذابا نكرا وأما من آمن وعمل صالحا فله جزاء الحسنى وسنقول له من أمرنا يسرا. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. These are ayahs 87 and 88 of Surah Al Kahf. And Allah Ta'ala has said to the King Zulkarnain, who is also a prophet, that he has come across a nation of people who are wrongdoers. And Allah says that he has been given a free hand. He can do whatever he wishes to do with them. He can punish them or he can forgive them. Now, this absolute power and absolute authority has been provided to this king. Yet the king, he is making a very sensible decision. And he is saying, Qala, says Zulkarnain, Amma man zalama fasawfa nu'azzibuhu. So he says, as for him who does wrong unto others, him shall we in time cause to suffer. Summa yuraddu ila rabbihi fayu'azzibuhu azaban nukra. And thereupon he shall be referred to his sustainer, and he will cause him to suffer with unnameable, unimaginable suffering. وَأَمَّا مَنْ آمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَلَهُ جَزَاءً الْحُسْنَى. But as for him who believes and does righteous deeds, he will have the ultimate good of the life to come as his reward. وَسَنَقُولُ لَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِنَا يُسْرًا. And we shall make binding on him that which is easy to fulfill. The amazing thing here is that Allah Ta'ala is giving a free hand to King Zulkarnain and giving him a choice. You can punish them all or you can forgive them all. But this is a test from Allah. And again, there are two destinies here, the two choices in life. And Allah Ta'ala has given both those destinies in the hands of Zulkarnain. And what has Zulkarnain done? He's chosen a bit from each destiny. He says that those who are wrongdoers, those who are evil to each other, who do zulm, them I'm going to punish. And then when they leave this world and go to the hereafter to Allah, Allah is going to give them a punishment which nobody can even imagine. We cannot even imagine what the heavens, the hell and the paradise look like. For example, imagination is limited to what is around us. If I take you back 1,000 years and you try to explain to people what a mobile phone is and what a laptop is and what a computer is, they won't be able to understand because it's beyond their imagination. Similarly, things which are in the future to us, we can't imagine them because our imagination is limited by the stimulation we're getting from our environment at this place and time and person. So the blessings of Allah which are to come are, most of them are unimaginable to us. And similarly, the punishments which might be in store for people who are wrongdoers, they are difficult to imagine. And then Zulkarnain says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ آمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَلَهُ جَزَاءً الْحُسْنَى. And as for the person who believes and does good deeds, for him there is going to be a good reward. وَسَنَقُولُ لَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِنَا يُسْرًا. And I will not put a burden on him and only ask him to do things which are easy to do. So he's going to be kind to the person who believes and who does not do any evil deeds. But I would like to stop here and ask a question which has been asked to me many a times, and it's asked from among the Muslims and from the non-Muslims. You know, Allah Ta'ala says to Zulkarnain, here is a nation of people who are wrongdoers, and I give you the free hand. Be kind to them, forgive them, or punish them. The question which is often asked is, why does Allah want to punish people? Well, He's kind. He's Rahman, He's Rahim. Why does He punish people? And the answer is in the Quran. If you go to Surah Hud, which is the 11th surah of the Quran, and you go to ayah number 117, Allah Ta'ala says here, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ لِيُهْلِكَ الْقُرَى بِظُلْمٍ وَأَهْلِهَا مُصْلِحُونَ. Allah says, for never would thy sustainer, your Rabb, your Lord, destroy a community for wrongdoing or wrong beliefs, so long as its people behave righteously towards each other. So, this is the basic principle. This is Sunnatullah. This is the system of Allah. Allah Ta'ala says, He's never going to punish a people, never going to send azab to them just because they don't believe in Allah. As long as they're good to each other, they're muslihun, they are looking after each other. But once the people persistently commit evil in their mutual dealings, they deliberately hurt each other and become tyrannical, that is when Allah's punishment comes to them. Now, this ayah of Surah 11, Hud, ayah 117, it explains everything which is happening in the world around us. We have believers, people going to the mosque 5 times a day, believing in Allah, righteous people, righteous nations, made in the name of Islam, flags with the name Allah written on them all over. And yet the dealings among the people are wrong. There is a tyranny towards the people. There is evil doing. There is exploitation of other human beings' right. And that society would never prosper. And the punishment of Allah will come to them. Whereas on the other hand, you have these societies which do not believe in Allah, which openly do shirk and kufr. Yet as Allah said, they are muslihun towards each other. They look after each other. They do not trample on other people's rights. They have a society which is existing with peace, and Allah's punishment does not come to them. And now it becomes clear why Hazrat Zulkarnain alayhi salam is a role model for us. When he was giving absolute power, he used it with merit and justice. Remember, absolute power can corrupt absolutely. But Zulkarnain alayhi salam, he is going to use the power bestowed upon him sensibly. He says people who are exploiting each other's rights, who are doing the wrong thing, who are doing injustice, they would be punished. And not only is he going to punish them, Allah is also going to punish them. And he will only punish those who are punishable by Allah, not by his own will. And then those people who are good, he is going to give them a reward and he's going to make life easier for them. And this is the basic concept of Islam. One of the biggest confusions we have in our society is about good and bad, about right and wrong. And you see all these kind of discussions. There is discussion going on in the society that so-and-so society is male-dominated, it's a patriarchal society, and women are being exploited, and women are being suppressed. And then in some societies, the minorities are being suppressed, and in other countries and other parts of the world, they say a certain ethnic clan is being suppressed. And there's a lot of confusion. So women are out on the street, women are saying we need our rights, we need the oppression to end. And then you see men are out on the street from a minority group and say we need our rights, we are being oppressed. Allah Ta'ala has clearly shown in the Quran what's happening. In the human society, there are 2 types of people, the powerful and the powerless. The powerful tend to exploit the powerless. And that is the root of all evil. It's not about the setup of the society. It's not about men being dominating over women, and it's not being majority dominating over minority. There are households and nations where women are transgressing against men. For example, we've all heard of the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law problems. Now, when the mother-in-law is empowered, she might use her power and she might take away the rights of her daughter-in-law who is less empowered or who is not empowered at all. And then on the other hand, if the daughter-in-law is empowered and if she's rich and she comes from a strong family, she might take away the rights and abuse her in-laws. Same happens with minority and majorities. There are many countries in the world where the minorities are ruling the majority. A small number of people from a certain ethnic clan, from a certain religious group, are ruling a majority of people who do not have anything in common with them, and they're exploiting them. Yet in other countries, the majority is exploiting the minority. So it is not a male-female problem. It's not a majority-minority problem. It's the struggle between the powerful and the powerless. And Allah Ta'ala in the Quran has laid down two principles. Number one, the one who's powerful, his or her power should be curtailed. There should be limits of the power. And he or she should use the power thinking and knowing that this power is bestowed upon them from Allah. Like Zulkarnain is being given the power from Allah directly, and Allah is saying, what are you going to do with it? And he says, for the evil ones, for the ones who are making trouble for other people, I will use this power to punish them. For the good doers, the ones who are not making trouble for the people, who are not carrying out injustice in the society, I'll use this power to empower them, to help them. And that's where the second principle of Quran comes in, that the weak should be empowered. And throughout the Quran you see this, that whenever there is someone weak, Allah empowers them. For example, the orphans, Allah says, Ikram al-yatim, give them honor and respect. They are weak, but you give them honor and respect. Similarly, for the poor, the one who's suffering, you give them help. You go out of your way to help them. And that way you empower them. And I think one of the biggest problems in our society is that we have these small factions and small groups who are fighting for their rights and they don't get together. So if all these groups would come together, the groups of the people who are powerless, and empower each other, they can make a bigger and a better and more permanent change in the society, rather than fighting their own cause and fighting their own limited agendas. And this brings us to the next point, which is the spirit of justice in Quran and Islam. Islam has got the most comprehensive and the most perfect system of justice described anywhere in any text. No religion, no book in the world describes it as beautifully as the Quran. And Allah Ta'ala says in the 4th Surah, ayah number 135, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qist shuhada'a lillahi walau ala anfusikum awil walidina wal akrabina in yakun ghaniyan aw fakiran fallahu ula bihima fala tattabi'ul hawa an ta'dilu wa in talaw aw tu'rizu fa inna Allaha kana bima ta'maluna khabira. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, O you who have believed, kunu qawwamina bil qist, be persistently standing firm in justice. Shuhada'a lillahi, witness for Allah. Walau ala anfusikum, even if it be against yourselves. So stand for justice, even if it against yourself. If you have done something wrong, go and make a witness against yourself and say, yes, I did this wrong. Awil walidina, or your parents. Your parents have done something wrong. You do not take their side. You go and you witness against them and say, my parents have done this wrong. Wal aqrabin, and relatives. And this is where we all fail. When it comes to myself or my parents or my relatives, I protect them even if they are wrong. And then Allah says, in yakun ghaniyan aw fakirun, whether one is rich or poor. Now that's another thing. Sometimes we judge people by their wealth. And it's not just being rich, but it's also being poor. So he says, don't help the rich and go against the poor, or don't help the poor do something right and go against the rich if their rights are being denied just because they're rich and you're jealous of them, or you think the poor is worthy of your sympathy. And then Allah says, Fallahu ula bihima, Allah is more worthy of both. Are you going to side with the rich, or are you going to side with the poor, or are you going to side with Allah? Allah says that you have to bring justice and you have to stand up for justice. So don't side with the rich or the poor, side with Allah. فَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا الْهَوَى, very, very important. do not follow your inclination and your desires. When it comes to justice, don't go by your heart feeling. My heart says I should be very kind to this person. My heart says I should be very harsh to this person. No. فَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا الْهَوَى أَن تَعْدِلُوا وَإِن تَلَوْا أَوْ تُعْرِضُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرًا. Lest you not be just. If you follow your desires, then you won't be able to do justice. If you follow your heart feelings, your gut feelings, you won't be able to do justice. And if you distort your testimony or refuse to give it, then indeed Allah is ever with what you do acquainted. Allah knows. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرًا. If you hide or distort your testimony, then remember, Allah knows everything. He knows what you are hiding and He knows what you are showing. And you might be able to deceive the people, but na'uzubillah, you'll never be able to deceive Allah. And here this principle has been exercised perfectly by Hazrat Zulkarnain alayhi salam. Inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow we will talk about the next journey of Hazrat Zulkarnain alayhi salam, where he travels east and to the farthest points in the east of the known landmass and of the known world. And inshallah we'll see what benefit we get from his journey and what his journey and his expeditions teach us and what is relevant to our life and our time, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for listening, and please remember everyone in your prayers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A special thank you for everyone who made this effort possible, especially our IT team. Last but not the least, a big thank you and special prayers for the person who started this dawah effort with me but prefers to stay anonymous at present. Please remember us all in your prayers. May Allah reward everyone who's involved in this dawah effort, especially the people who are watching it and listening to it. May Allah reward them in this life and the hereafter. Ameen summa ameen.